joining the Body, Mind, Soul project. My name is Yermaya Dharani. I consider myself a student of personal development, and I want to invite you on a journey of personal achievement with me. So today is going to be a very, very exciting episode because I'm going to talk about a subject that I'm very, very passionate about, which is goal setting. So specifically what I want to do is I want to talk about a method of goal setting that I learned from Tony Robbins. If you ever get the audio program of Tony Robbins called Get the Edge, he sort of goes into detail on how to use this particular goal setting methodology. It is called RPM. RPM stands for Rapid Planning Method, okay? And basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking you through how you can use this rapid planning method and how you can create goals for yourself that are easily achievable and come up with plans to achieve them at the same time, okay? But first of all, I just want to tell you why I think that this is going to be useful for you and why I actually want to talk about this, okay? Goal setting in general. So, it wasn't that long ago that I found myself sort of in a place where I felt like I was behind on my promises, okay? I had made promises to my family. I had made promises to myself. And I looked at my life and I realized that, I have fallen behind on these promises quite a bit. That was very painful for me to sort of come to terms with. I had dug a hole for myself, financially, professionally, emotionally. I was starting to become bankrupt. And I realized that what I was doing up to that point, it just wasn't working. That, to tell you the truth, up to that point, to a very large degree, I had actually messed up. I had screwed up. And it was very difficult for me to come to terms with that. But the only way that I could get myself out of the hole that I dug for myself, or the pit that I was in, is if I became radically honest with myself, and looked at my life and just said to myself that, listen, I've messed up, And what I had to do is I had to raise my expectations of myself. I had to raise my standards. I realized that I was basically putting up with too much, And during that time, I was searching for answers. And during the course of searching for these answers, I came across this methodology called RPM, the Rapid Planning Method, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you guys. So here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to share my screen with you guys so that you guys can see some of the notes that I've taken. And then at the end of this, I'm actually going to go through a live example of how it is that I would use this rapid planning method to set goals for myself. So there's two things that I'm going to be teaching. One is this rapid planning method. And the second is how you can use this rapid planning method as part of a journaling process, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to start by identifying our values. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to match up those values with specific goals, okay? So I'm going to share my screen with you guys in a second here. There we go. All right, so hopefully you guys can see that. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to identify our values, okay? So you don't want to start climbing the ladder of success only to realize that you had it leaning up against the wrong building. Stephen Covey, the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, said that, And this is very, very important. Before you set goals, you want to make sure that those are goals that are working towards the ideals that you have, And success is considered the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Earl Nightingale said that. And the truth is that happiness in our lives really comes when we realize that we're living in congruence with our ideals, okay? So it begins with identifying what those ideals and values are first. Then what we want to do is we want to create goals to achieve the worthy ideal that we've set, okay? And then we want to do this daily in our journal, okay? If we can start doing this daily in our journal, this is going to make it so that we're going to be able to transform our lives very, very quickly, okay? So the first step is identifying our values. So I'm going to take you guys through the process first. Then afterwards, I'm going to go through a live example of how it is that I would do this so that, anybody that's watching this video can actually learn a method of goal setting that is extremely powerful. The value of using a process like this, okay? So what is RPM? RPM is a results-oriented, purpose-driven, massive action plan, okay? It's a method of goal setting introduced by Tony Robbins that breaks the goal setting process down into 3 parts. The first is the result. What is the result that you want to achieve? Okay, what's your goal, basically? The second is your purpose. Why do you want to achieve that result? And the third is your massive action plan. What are you going to do to achieve your goals? Okay, and when you use this regularly in a journal, it's extremely powerful because it keeps you focused and it gives you clarity on what it is that you want to do. And I'm going to demonstrate exactly how you would do it once I'm done going over the individual steps of it. All right, so RPM, let's start with the first part, R, which stands for result. What's the goal that you want to achieve, right? Always try and be very specific about your result. Instead of saying, oh, I want to lose weight, you want to say something like, I am losing 15 pounds by such and such date, okay? You want to write it as if you've already achieved it. So instead of writing, I want to earn this much, write, I earn this much by such and such date, okay? You always want to give it a deadline. If you have it in your mind, but you haven't written it down and you haven't given it a deadline, then it's a wish, it's not a goal. What makes it a goal is when you write it down and you give it a deadline. Now all of a sudden it becomes a goal, you know? They say that 90% of the value, you know, or I'm sorry, actually I want to refer to a study. There was a study that was done by Stanford University where what they did is they looked at the people that were graduating from the MBA program in Stanford at the time. And what they did is they started, you know, asking those people questions. They surveyed those people before they graduated, and they asked which one of those people actually set goals and which one of those people hadn't set goals. So who had set goals and had plans to achieve them, and who hadn't set goals at all, okay? A couple of decades later, so they found that only 3%, by the way, of the people that they surveyed actually had set goals. A couple of decades later, what they did is they went back and to these people that they'd surveyed to see how they had done. And what they noticed is that the 3% of the people that had actually set goals and had plans to achieve them were making more money than the other 97% of the people combined, okay? So if that's not powerful enough to make you realize what goals can actually do for you, then I don't know what is, because that statistic says it all, okay? So don't leave it as a wish in your head. Have it as a goal written down with a deadline and a plan to achieve it. RPM is going to give you the blueprint, okay? And then what you want to do is you want to have goals for different categories of your life. You know, you want to have goals for your health, you want to have goals for your career, goals for your finances, goals for your relationships, and goals for your personal development. All right, next, what is the P in RPM? The P stands for purpose, okay? Why do you want to achieve this goal, right? What is it going to do for you? So you want to ask yourself, why do I want to achieve this goal? And then you want to write 3, at least 3. So Tony Robbins likes to use the 3 to thrive, okay? So at least 3, maybe 3 to 5 reasons why you want to achieve this goal, okay? Because reasons are going to give you motivation to actually do it. You know, Jim Rohn's mentor, Earl Schoaf, once told him that the reason why you haven't achieved anything great is not because you don't have the ability, it's because you don't have enough reasons. You know, Nietzsche once said that a man with a strong enough why can endure any how. You know, and what this will give you is a bunch of, okay, so hold on one second. I'm just going to correct this while I have you guys over here. So basically what you want to write is what will this give you by achieving the goal? Okay, what's the benefit to you of basically doing it, right? And you want to come up with at least 3 to 5 answers to that question for each goal. And then the M in RPM stands for massive action, okay? So what are the most effective actions that you can take right now to achieve this goal? So once again, you want to use 3 to thrive, okay? So you want to come up with a minimum of 3 things that you can do right now to achieve the goal, 3 to 5 at least, okay? And then you want to immediately take action on one of them, even if it's just going into your calendar and putting it into the schedule and saying that, okay, you know what, I'm going to be doing it, you know, next week at this time. but you want to take action on it immediately while you've got momentum, while you're thinking about it, okay? And then the next thing you want to do is you want to start journaling it. You want to do it on a regular basis. So goal setting is not something that you just do once and then you never look at again. Ideally, you want to do this every single day. If you do this every single day, the amount of clarity it's going to bring to you in terms of what it is that you want is unbelievable. And that clarity is what you require to basically achieve those goals, okay? So after identifying your values and setting your goals, you want to pick one action that you're going to be taking that day to move yourself forward on each goal, okay? Then at the end of the day, so your day is completed. You do this at the beginning of the day, ideally. Then at the end of the day, you go back and you take a look at your list and you see which one of the actions you were able to actually complete, okay? Because tracking it makes it real. You gave yourself 5 activities. Which one of those did you do? Did you do all 5 of them? If you did all 5 of them, pat yourself on the back, okay? If you didn't do all 5 of them, then, perhaps you can do better next time, right? Then you want to ask yourself, what did I do well? What were the things that I did well today? And then what could I improve on, today? All right, so now what I want to do is I want to give an example of how to basically do this, okay? So I'm going to basically create a new slide over here, and we're going to start by talking about our values, okay? So here's how I would organize my values. I would put them in priority, and I would pick 5 values, okay? So these would be my actual values, all right? So the first value would be character, integrity, righteousness, okay? Because the reason why I put that number 1, and also peace of mind. The reason why I put that number 1 is because if I don't have character, integrity, righteousness, and peace of mind, I'm not going to be able to follow through on the other things. So that's the most important thing to me. Am I living according to my values? Am I living according to my truth? Am I giving it 100% in this life? It's like a basketball player. He always says on an important game that, I just want to leave it all on the court, right? So I realized that I wasn't doing that. I wasn't living at 100%. I was living at maybe 60%, and that's when I realized that things had to change because this isn't a dress rehearsal. This is my life, and if I'm not living my life, then that's unfortunate, okay? So anyway, so my first value would be character, integrity, righteousness, peace of mind. Those all are examples of the same thing, okay? My second highest value would be health, fitness, vitality, okay? So, my personal health is extremely important because all of the other goals that I have, all of the other values and everything that I have, if my health is no good, I'm not going to be able to follow through on them, okay? But character is even more important than that because if I don't have character, integrity, and righteousness, then I'm not even going to do what I have to do in terms of keeping my health, fitness, and vitality going, okay? After that comes family, relationships, and love, okay? So, the reality is that the majority of the happiness that we experience in life, it comes from the relationships that we have with people, okay? And I guarantee you, when you're laying on your deathbed or when I'm laying on my deathbed, and I'm thinking about the things that I could do over again in my life, I guarantee you I'm not going to be thinking about some presentation that I made at a boardroom or something like that, where maybe I could have made a little bit more money, When I'm laying on my deathbed, hoping that I had more time, what I'm going to be hoping for is that, or what I am going to be wanting to get back is the time that I wasn't able to spend with my family, okay? So that's why it has to rank very high up there. After character and health, after that, family comes first for me, okay? Then after that is career, business, profession. This is my career, what it is that I do for a living. I want to do that at a very, very high level. And then after that is finances, money, and wealth. Okay, so finances, money, and wealth come last in terms of importance, and the other things come first. Okay, so now that I've got a list of my values, what I want to do is I want to match up each one of these values with a goal using the RPM method, right? So let's start with character. Okay, that's the first value. So what's the goal that I want to have over here? So ideally, the goal that I want to have is a habit of some kind that ensures that I'm able to live this ideal of character, right? So for me, that might be something like I meditate twice a day and do all my prayers every day. Okay, that might be the result. Okay, so that's the R in RPM. That's the result. Okay, what's the purpose now? What's the reason why I do this? Okay, so the reason why I do this is because I want to have respect for myself. I want to exercise my discipline. I want to remain focused. Okay, and that's what, and humble also. And that's what this is going to do for me. So meditating twice a day and doing all my prayers every day is going to allow me to stay disciplined. It's going to allow me to stay focused, and I'm going to have respect for myself. Okay, I'm going to have integrity because I know that I've set small goals for myself every day, and I keep doing them. And I keep doing those goals every single day for myself. That's going to give me confidence, and that's going to carry through to everything else. Okay, so those are the purpose. That's the reason why I'm doing this. Okay, and what is my action plan? So my action plan is very simple for this particular one, I guess, because all I have to do is do my 5 prayers. Okay, meditate in the morning, meditate in the evening. Right? That's my massive action. Simple as that. And then so now that I've set that goal, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick something that I'm going to be doing today. So this particular goal, it doesn't kind of exactly fit into the mold because character is something that's developed on a day-to-day basis in the decisions that we make every single day. So this doesn't exactly fit into the mold of some of the other goals. So I'll give another example after this, okay? But what I would be wanting to do is make sure that I meditate today and do my prayers. Very simple. Okay, and then at the end of the day, I'm going to come back and I'm going to look at this and say that, you know what, this is the one action I decided to take, and did I do it? So if I did it, then that's very good. I've tracked it, and that means that I'm moving towards my goals, and I can pat myself on the back. Okay, now I'm going to give another example because that was not the best example. So let's use, for example, career. Okay, so the value of career, profession, business, let's use that as an example, right? How would I set a goal for this? So first of all, the R stands for result. Okay, so what's the result that I want to achieve? The result that I want to achieve, for example, is I earn $250,000 a year by December of 2021. Okay, that's the result that I want to achieve. Okay, and why do I want to achieve this result? What's the purpose? What's the purpose? What is this going to give me? Okay, I want to be financially independent or financially secure, let's say. I want to be debt-free, for example. I want to travel the world. Those are 3 things that achieving this particular goal is going to give me. Okay, if I want to write more, I want to be financially independent. Okay, so that's the purpose, those three. What's my massive action plan? What's my massive action plan to be able to achieve this particular goal, right? So perhaps I'm going to start my online business, selling stuff on Shopify. Okay, that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to work extra at my current job, for example. Okay, what's the third thing that I can do? I'm going to start a new marketing initiative to get more clients. Okay, that's my massive action plan. Oh, and what's the one thing that I'm going to do today? What's the one thing that I'm going to do today is I'm going to start my Shopify account. I'm going to start my Shopify account. Okay, and then what I would do is I would go back and I would take a look, at the end of the day, and I would say to myself, did I achieve the action that I said that I was going to do, right? And if I have, then I check it off. That's great, because tracking it makes it real. And then afterwards, I'm going to say to myself, okay, what did I do good? What could I have done better, right? And so if I do this at the beginning of every day for each one of my values, and I come up with a plan, so I get clear on what I want, and I come up with a plan and reasons why I want it for each one of my 5 values, and I do that every single day. And then at the end of the day, I track it to see if I've actually done it. Do you realize how powerful this is if you were to actually do that? Okay. So in conclusion, I just want to say that this is something that you've got to try, because it can make a huge difference. Believe me, clarity is one of the most important things. The more you can visualize something in your mind, the more clear you can be about whatever it is that you want to achieve in your mind, the greater the likelihood that you're actually going to be achieving it. Goal setting, it truly works. Believe me, those that are ahead of us right now were the ones that were willing to take a little bit of time and were able to do this. It's like if you were building a house, you wouldn't build a house until you had a plan for it first. But the sad part is that people usually spend more time planning their vacation than they actually do planning their lives. That's really, really sad. Then they wonder why they can't get ahead. So when I was struggling, when I looked at myself in the mirror and I didn't like what I was seeing, these are one of the things that I started getting back to. These were the basics that I had to get back to. I started setting goals for myself. I started deciding that, this life that I've created for myself, I'm not 100% satisfied with it. So what kind of life would I like to create for myself? And then I went ahead and started creating that life for myself. And things are working out a lot better, So I basically realized at a certain point that I was not living my truth. I wasn't living at 100%. I was living at maybe 60%. Really, really sad, because like I said, this life is not a dress rehearsal. This life is the real deal. And if we want to do, what our destiny is, I believe that each and every single one of us were destined and put on this earth to make a difference, And what we need to become really crystal clear about is what is that difference that we were meant to make, And we need to go ahead and we need to start coming up with plans on how it is that we can make that difference, and not for anybody else, but for ourselves. We were put on this earth to realize what our potential is, And the most noble thing that we can do, there's nothing more noble than basically setting a goal for yourself and achieving that, There's nothing more noble than striving to become better than what you are right now. And I believe that, that is an extremely sort of noble outcome or objective for anybody. And the main pathway to be able to achieve an objective like that is to do goal setting. It all comes down to planning it out for yourselves. So I want to thank you guys so much for listening. I hope that you guys got something out of it. Please comment or share. Let me know what it is that you guys would like to hear about. If there's something specific that you guys would like me to talk about, I would really, really appreciate it. But the reason I share all of this with you guys is for a couple of reasons. First of all, I hope that it makes a difference because it's what made a difference for me. But second of all, I share this for very, very selfish reasons. And the selfish reason that I have is every time I share an idea like this, what it does is it solidifies this idea in my own mind, And I'm a work in progress, just like everybody else is out there, but this particular method of goal setting and journaling is something that I have personally used, and I have found a lot of success with it. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys some other time. Cheers.